Alright, so today I'm going to build a table. It's a little design I've had for a while, I've been wanting to try out. I've seen a few of them made, but not quite the way I'm going to do it, so I think it'll be kind of cool. But what I'm using is a steel utility tub here. This is brand new, I just picked it up the other day at Tractor Supply. The one I got is a 17 gallon. I actually went in to go get a bigger one, but once I saw them together, this was a better deal. So this one is 24 inches diameter, and it's about 11 inches tall. It was 20 bucks. The one I went in for was only 28 inches wide. It was like 15 inches tall, and it was 36. It was barely bigger, and it was almost twice the price. So I went with this one instead, so it should work out pretty good. As for the wood, most of this I found on the side of the road. I think the 2x4 here is left over from part of our house renovation, but all this wood here is stuff I picked up just driving around. These are old like fence railing posts, and then this board here and this board here are part of that tabletop I picked up about a month or so ago when I was redoing our bathroom, and I turned some of it into shelves for our bathroom. And anyway, I'm using these pieces here to build a top for this, which should be kind of cool. And then this will be like a bracing to keep it from sliding off. And then my 2x4 is going to be the legs for the bottom of it. So it should be a somewhat simple project, and I think it should turn out pretty cool, so let me get started. Alright, so first thing I want to do is go ahead and cut my wood down to size. So I'm just kind of getting some measurements to see what I can work with. Like I said, my bucket is 24 inches diameter, and for some reason 32 inch diameter wood top just sounds right to me, so I want to see if I can make this work at 32 inches. So this board here, you can see it's kind of short, and it is 3 2x4s glued together, but they've been trimmed down a little bit this way, so all of them together is a little bit bigger than 10 inches wide. Alright, then this one over here is 2 2x4s and a 2x6, same thing, trimmed down just a little bit. And it looks like it is just a little bit longer than 12 inches. So I can cut two pieces out of this, that'd be 2 12s, so 24 inches, plus this one right here, 10 inches, that'd be 34. I think that works out real nice. So I'll go ahead and chop this one down 34 inches long. I'll cut two 34s out of this board, glue and screw them together, and then I can then cut out my 32 inch circle to actually build the top out there. So that's what I'll start doing next. Alright, so I got all three boards cut. Looks pretty good. Getting ready to join them with some glue and some pocket screws. And I'll be using my Kreg Jig to drill out the holes for there. What it does is it drills at an angle, and then you put in some screws. It goes through both boards and holds it nice and tight while your glue dries. And you have a really strong bond. So I went ahead and marked where I'm put all the screws. So I come in 3 inches, made a mark. I found center, made a mark, and then I come in 3 inches from this edge and made a mark. Alright, so this board will have 3 screws going in this way to attach it to this one. On this middle board, I just found the center between those two marks, put one here, so there'll be a screw going that way, and then the same thing down here, screw going that way. So this whole joint will have 5 screws total, going different directions, and glue. It'll be nice and strong. I'll do the same thing on this one here, just mirrored, and then I'll have one solid board that I can cut out my circle. So before I do that, one last thing I want to do. You can kind of see the edges here. They have like old stain that dripped down, and they're pretty dirty. And if I want a really strong bond with my glue, I'm going to go ahead and run my sander on there real quick, just knock it back down to raw wood. Then I can do my pocket holes and glue them together, and it'll be really nice and strong. So let me get started on that. Alright, so I got it all glued and screwed together, and I noticed that it has a little bit of a wobble to it. So what I'm going to do is throw some bricks on there while it's drying, and hopefully it'll help level it out. Alright, there we go. Should be good. I'll go ahead and wipe the extra glue off as well. It should be good to go later. Alright, so the glue's dried, and it's now one piece. So what I'm doing is figuring out my circle here. Now, I mentioned earlier I was thinking of going 32 inches diameter, but I think I might try 34 first. So what I did is I found center, I drew some lines. You can kind of see those will come in handy later, but I also am using them right now just to get a feel for what's happening. Okay, I also took this board here, found center on it, drilled a little hole so I could fit a screw through there. That screw is solidly into the tabletop here, and then I drilled another hole over here at 17 inches over, which is the the radius of this. So what I'll do is in that hole, just stick a pin in there, and I should be able to trace it like that and get my circle to be able to cut it out. And then when I cut it out, I'm going to try a couple different things. First, I'm going to see what happens with just a jigsaw, but I do notice that a lot of times when I cut the jigsaw, the blade will kind of angle out on me, so the cut's not quite straight. So then I'm going to try to clean it up with a router after that. So that's kind of why I'm going 34 inches, because I'll probably end up trimming a little bit off of that. So it'll probably end up being like 33 and something diameter once I'm all done. But anyway, let me go ahead, trace this out, cut it, and then I'll go from there. Alright, so I got it cut out with the jigsaw, and the cut is about as rough as I thought it was going to be. It's not exactly the greatest cut. I don't know if it's my cheap jigsaw I've had forever or just the way it goes since this is so thick, but you can kind of see it's a little wonky, a little wobbly, especially like right here. You can see how it just kind of flares out. It does that all over the place. So anyway, I got the general shape cut. Hopefully this router will clean it up. So I just built a quick little jig here so that I can make a nice smooth pass with my router. So I just took a 1/2 inch piece of old pallet wood, and I drilled 2 holes into the base of my router to screw it down. I also drilled a big like 1 inch hole here in the center so that my bit could drop through. I screwed it into place, I dropped my bit down, and then I measured from the inside edge here, because that's what's just going to nick this right here to clean it up. So I measured from the inside edge of my bit this way, 17 inches, drill a hole there, and put the screw in, and now, you know, this should make a nice cut. Now I did come in about a 1/16 of an inch or so, so that way I'll just barely nick this front edge, and then any of the bottom edge here that's flared out, it'll get cut nice and straight. And then when I make my passes, I'll just do like a 1/2 inch deep at a time so they don't overload the router. So hopefully it'll turn out nice, so let's see how it goes. Alright, so I made 2 passes, and look how off my cut was originally from that jigsaw, because when I measure this, it is only 33 7/8, so I apparently come in 1/8 of an inch. I said 1/16 earlier, so this top edge right here is actually almost 34, so I mean my jigsaw was way off. That's a good 1/2 inch, almost 3/4, so this router little jig here is working pretty awesome. I got 1 more pass and I think it'll be good to go. Well, that worked awesome. It made a huge mess, wood chips everywhere. I'm gonna have to clean that up with my leaf blower, but I got a real nice cut. So now that I know that works, whenever I have to cut any more circles, I'll just use my router instead of messing with that jigsaw. It'd be less work. Make a couple passes and you get a nice, you know, crisp cut. I think it was totally worth it buying that thing. So anyway, now what I need to do before I start just sanding the top and getting it ready is I need to make my little, I don't even exactly know what I'm gonna call them, my little stops on the back, or the placement brackets or whatever. That's these railing posts here. I'll have to cut them to size, and basically they're going to get stalled in an X down flat, and then they will just hug the inside of the top of the little metal barrel thing, so that you know, they'll just touch here. It'll keep it in place to keep it from shifting around. So I'll go ahead and size them up, put them down, and then we'll test fit it and see how it works. Okay, so the outside diameter of this bucket was 24 inches, but the inside was like 23 3/8 or something like that. So when I installed all my little cross pieces, I made them just 23 inches long. So that way it has just a slight bit of wiggle room. So slide on and off real easy. And check it out, it holds into position real nice. Get on there, and that is not going anywhere. So the tabletop is ready to get finished, but before I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and build legs for it. Alright, so I got all the legs cut. I just cut them at 8 inches long, and then I put a 15-degree angle cut on both ends. And then you saw I just kind of screwed them on there and held in with the washers real nice. Looks pretty cool. It sits nice and level. And the feet, since they're cut at a 15-degree angle, they poke out just a little bit. I thought that'd be kind of cool, you know, just a little extra detail. And then we'll set this on top and kind of get an idea of what it's going to look like. Alright, perfect. So this thing looks pretty cool. So now what I got to do is just go through all the wood and sand it, get rid of this old stain. 2x4 feet down here are really rough. I'm going to smooth them out, and I'll use 60 grit, tear through all that old stain, kind of level it out, and then probably like an 80 grit, a 120. I'm going to work my way up to like a 220. Alright, so it'll be nice and smooth, and then I'll put my homemade wood stain on there so it'll get a nice deep rich brown color, and then I'll clear coat them, and then this thing will be ready to go. So it should turn out pretty cool, so let me finish it up. Alright, so I got the whole thing sanded. I took 60 to get all the old stain off, to knock the really rough edges off. Then I used a piece of 120 to smooth it out a little further, and then I finished it with 220, and now it's really nice and smooth. So I'm just wiping it down with a wet rag just to get rid of all that sawdust so that I can put on some stain and finish. And for the stain, I'm going to use my homemade wood stain, which I have a video. It shows how to make it. It's really easy. It's a really cool color right now. It's been brewing for a while, so it gets a real deep, rich, kind of reddish brown color, which should look pretty cool. And I'll do that to all the wood, and then once it dries and changes color, then I'm going to clear coat it. I think I'm out of most of my clear coats, but I think I still have some Danish oil, so I'll probably use it to finish everything. Alright, and check it out. Here's how the legs turned out. Pretty cool. Look real nice. The little brackets that go underneath the tabletop got really dark. They reacted with that stain. Got super crazy dark. And then the top looks really nice too. So I'm going to let that Danish oil dry. And then I'll flip it over and assemble the little X thing on the back of this. And then put the legs on the bottom of the bucket and put it together, and this thing will be done. Alright, and check it out. Here it is all finished. This thing turned out really cool. So I got the little X cross member thing on the bottom so that it slides back into position and it's not going to move anywhere. And then all my feet are screwed back on through the bottom of the bucket here. I use big metal washers kind of as a design detail and just to keep them from, the screw heads from pulling through. So it'll keep it nice and safe. And this thing just turned out really awesome. Has a cool kind of rustic and industrial look, and kind of, maybe here's a new one, how about farmhouse in outer space? You know, we got the reclaimed wood, that homemade wood stain, nice deep rich brown, little hint of orange to it. You got the wooden feet that kind of look like rocket fins, and then of course the shiny metal bucket has that kind of rocket look from, the 1930s or whatever. So pretty cool. And I'll just show you the top again real quick. Of course, I found my wood on the side of the road and it was kind of pre-put together. But if you want to do a total copycat of this, so basically it's pieces of 2x6 here on the end, and then everything else is 2x4. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces of 2x4. And like I said, it's 34-inch diameter, which I'm happy I went with that instead of 32. It's just got lots of storage space and a huge tabletop on there. So this thing turned out pretty awesome, pretty simple project, and it looks really cool. Hey, thanks for checking out this video. I really appreciate that. If you liked it, go ahead and hit that thumbs up. That really helps get it out in front of other people that might like to check it out too. And if you haven't subscribed, be sure to do that. Keep up with more videos. And if you want to see some other projects I have some here on the screen and down in the description below as well.